Nobody stays broke by accident. That's the thing no one tells you. We treat being broke like it's some kind of weather, like it just happens to people, like it falls out of the sky. But that's not how it works. Being broke is not a condition. It's a consequence. And here's what's uncomfortable about that. It means staying broke requires daily effort. Not the kind of effort that looks like effort, not the dramatic kind, but small, invisible effort. The wrong decisions made in the right moments. The habits that feel harmless until one day you look up and realize nothing has changed. But here's the other side of that coin. Yes. And this is why I want you to watch this video all the way through. If staying broke requires effort, then so does building wealth. And the gap between those two things is smaller than you think. It's not income. It's not luck. It's not even intelligence. It's what you do between the moment money arrives and the moment it disappears. Stick with me on this. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who earns decent money? Not rich, but decent, and somehow still has nothing to show for it? No savings, no investments, no real financial ground to stand on, just money coming in and money going out, month after month like water through your hands. Maybe that person is someone you know. Maybe, if you're being honest, that person is you. Now here's the part that most financial advice refuses to say directly. The problem is almost never the income. We've been taught that if we could just earn more, everything would solve itself. Work harder. Get the raise. Land the promotion. Get the new job. And there's a version of that which is true. Income matters. But income alone doesn't build wealth. If it did, lottery winners wouldn't go broke. If it did, professional athletes wouldn't retire bankrupt. If it did, people with six-figure salaries wouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck. But they are. Millions of them. So what's actually happening? There's a system operating underneath your financial life. Most people don't see it because it doesn't look like a system. It looks like just living. Grabbing coffee, scrolling through a shopping app at 11 p.m. saying, "I'll start saving next month," splitting bills with your account instead of a dedicated fund. These things feel random. They're not. They are patterns. And patterns compounded over months and years become your financial destiny. What I want to show you today isn't a trick, and it's not a hack. It's a framework, a set of daily behaviors that, when practiced consistently, make it structurally difficult to stay broke. Not impossible to struggle, but difficult. The odds shift. And in personal finance, shifting the odds is everything. Let me paint you a picture. It's payday. Money hits the account. And for about 48 hours, there's this feeling, a brief, intoxicating sense of financial okayness, like the pressure has lifted. And in that window, decisions happen fast. Maybe it's dinner out because you deserve it. Maybe it's that item sitting in your cart for 3 weeks, finally getting purchased. Maybe it's just the casual looseness of spending, because the number in your account feels, for now, comfortable. And then, slowly, the number shrinks. The bills come out, then rent, then subscriptions you forgot you had, and then the unexpected expense that was never actually unexpected. The car, the phone, the body doing what bodies do. 2 weeks later, the account is thin again, and the cycle continues. This is not a discipline problem. I want to say that clearly. The people living this cycle are not lazy or stupid or broken. They're operating without a structure. And when there's no structure, emotion fills the gap. And emotions, especially around money, are expensive. Think about the decisions you make when you're stressed. You spend to feel better. The decisions you make when you're celebrating. You spend to mark the moment. The decisions you make when you're bored, when you're tired, When you're scrolling at midnight, you spend because spending is the easiest available action. And this is the part most people never stop to examine. The problem isn't any single purchase, it's that without a system, every financial decision defaults to the present moment. And the present moment almost always prefers comfort over growth. That's human. That's biology. Your brain is not wired to delay gratification naturally. It has to be structured in. There's another layer to this. Something called lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, great. But somehow, the raise never actually frees up money because your spending expands to meet it. New salary means new spending baseline. New apartment, better car, nicer dinners. It happens so gradually you don't notice it happening. And then one day you realize you're earning more than you ever have and saving less than you ever have. That's the trap. And the exit isn't earning more. And it's building the system that keeps more. Here's the reframe that changes everything for people when it finally clicks. We've been told that the path out of financial struggle is effort. Work harder. Hustle more. Pick up the extra shift. And effort matters. I'm not dismissing it. But effort alone, without a system to capture it, is like filling a bucket with a hole in it. You can pour endlessly and end up with nothing. Wealth is not built in the earning. Wealth is built in the keeping, the directing, and the multiplying. And that happens through systems, not willpower, not sacrifice, not suffering through a life of restriction. But here's where it gets interesting. The wealthiest people you admire, the ones who seem to have figured something out, they are not necessarily working harder than you. In many cases, they're not even smarter. What they have is structure. Automatic, almost invisible structure that governs what happens to their money the moment it arrives. They don't decide whether to save. Saving is automatic. They don't decide whether to invest. Investing is scheduled. They don't decide whether to spend emotionally. The structure removes that decision from the table. This is the core insight. The less you have to decide, the better your financial outcomes. Because every time you have to make an active decision about money, you're one bad day, one moment of weakness, one emotional impulse away from the wrong choice. Remove the decision. Build the system. Let the system do the work. That's what we're going to build right now. And before we get to the final rule, and that one is the one most people completely ignore, let's start at the beginning. Rule 1, pay your future self first before you pay rent, before you pay for groceries, before you pay for anything. Pay your future. The moment money enters your account, a fixed percentage leaves for a savings or investment vehicle. Not whatever is left over at the end of the month, because there will be nothing left over. There never is. Picture two people. Same salary. Person A pays everyone first, the landlord, the supermarket, the streaming services, and then saves whatever remains. Most months, that's nothing. Person B sets up an automatic transfer on payday. 20% goes directly to savings before Person B even sees it. After 12 months, Person B has money. Real money. Not because they earned more, but because they structured the flow. The psychological magic here is that you adapt to what's available. If you never see the money, you never miss it. Your lifestyle adjusts to the 80%, and your future builds quietly on the 20%. Rule 2. Eliminate the decision. Every financial decision you have to make manually is a vulnerability, because decisions require energy, and energy runs out. At the end of a long day, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when the week has been hard, that is when you make the worst financial choices. Automation is not about being robotic. It's about protecting your future self from your present self. Set up automated transfers, to savings the day after payday. Set up automatic bill payments so they never run late. Schedule investment contributions on a fixed date each month. Create a system where the right thing happens without you having to choose it. The goal is to make your financial life as boring as possible so that the interesting parts of your life, your relationships, your creativity, your joy, aren't constantly being hijacked by money anxiety. Rule 3. Hold the line on lifestyle. This rule is where most people lose the game right when they think they're winning it. You get a raise, you earn more, and almost immediately, sometimes unconsciously, the spending goes up. The apartment gets bigger, the car gets newer, the dinners get more expensive, the wardrobe gets refreshed. Here's the hard truth. A raise is only valuable if you capture it. If your spending rises to meet every new income level, the raise didn't change your financial position. It just changed your spending category. And the rule is this. Every time your income increases, your lifestyle stays flat for at least 6 months. All of the additional income goes to savings or investments. 6 months later, you can give yourself a modest lifestyle upgrade. Maybe. But the gap between what you earn and what you spend, that gap is your wealth. Protect it aggressively. Rule 4. Invest in the asset that earns more assets. There are 2 kinds of spending. Spending that depletes and spending that compounds. Most of what we do with money falls into the first category. But a portion, a deliberately chosen portion, should always go into the second. This means stocks, index funds, real estate, a business, whatever makes sense for where you are. But it also means something less obvious. Investing in yourself. A course that makes you worth more in the market. And a book that shifts how you think. A skill that opens a door. These are not expenses. They are multipliers. Here's the thing about money. When deployed correctly, it works while you sleep. Every dollar you invest is a tiny employee going to work on your behalf. 100 of those employees doing quiet work every day. That's how wealth compounds. Not through one dramatic act, through consistent, patient deployment of money into things that generate more money. Rule 5. Build the buffer before you need it. Here's the rule most people ignore, and it's the one that makes everything else possible. Before you invest aggressively, before you think about growing wealth, build a buffer, a financial cushion, 3 to 6 months of living expenses sitting in a liquid, accessible account, untouched, waiting, not invested, not at risk, just there. Because here's what nobody tells you about emergencies. They don't care about your investment timeline. The car breaks down, the job disappears, the health thing happens. And when it does, without a buffer, you are forced to make desperate decisions, selling assets at the wrong time, taking on debt, raiding the account you were building. The buffer is not just financial, it's psychological. When you know you have a cushion, you stop making fear-based decisions. You can negotiate better at work because you could survive for 6 months if things went wrong. You can take a calculated risk on an opportunity because the failure doesn't destroy you. The buffer creates freedom, and freedom creates wealth. I want to tell you about 2 people. Let's call them Marcus and David. Same age, same city, same job, same company, same salary, down to the dollar. On paper, their financial lives begin at an identical starting point. Marcus gets paid. He feels good. He covers his bills, goes out with friends, orders things he's been eyeing, and at the end of the month, whatever's left, sometimes something, sometimes nothing, he keeps in his checking account. David gets paid. The next morning, before he checks anything else, an automatic transfer moves 20% of his income to a savings account and 10% to an investment account. He doesn't see it He doesn't feel it. He lives on the remaining 70%, and he's structured his life to make that work. No debt on lifestyle. A small, funded emergency buffer. A subscription to a course that's improving his skills at his job. 2 years pass. Marcus earns the same as always. His account looks the same as it always has. He's not doing badly, but he's not moving. David, quietly, has accumulated something. The investments have started compounding. His emergency fund is full. He's got options Marcus doesn't have. The ability to say no to a bad situation, to say yes to a good opportunity, to take a breath without financial panic sitting on his chest. Same salary, completely different financial futures. The only difference? The system that operated on David's money the moment it arrived. There's a truth about money most people understand, but never really feel until it's too late. If money only passes through you, it never stays with you. You can be a thoroughfare for wealth. Money coming in, money going out. The account always in motion, always active, always moving, and end up with nothing. The amount of money that has passed through your hands in a decade would astonish you. The question is not whether money has visited you. The question is whether any of it stayed. What you repeat daily becomes your financial reality. Not what you plan. Not what you intend. What you actually do, quietly, automatically, without drama, every day. This is why the system matters more than the motivation. Motivation is loud. It shows up on January 1st when you're watching a video like this one, when you've just gotten a reality check. But motivation fades. It fades by Wednesday. It fades in February. It fades when life gets complicated. The system doesn't fade. The automatic transfer happens whether you're motivated or not. The investment contribution goes in whether you remembered or forgot. The buffer grows whether you're having a good month or a terrible one. You build systems once. They work forever. Wealth is not the reward for being extraordinary. It is the predictable result of doing ordinary things, consistently, structurally, and without waiting to feel ready. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Your financial future is not a mystery. It is not determined by luck, or the economy, or the family you were born into. It is determined by behavior. Specific, repeatable, daily behavior. And behavior can be changed. Behavior can be structured. Behavior can be automated. You don't have to overhaul your life this week. You don't have to cut everything out or live like a monk. You just have to build one piece of the system. One automatic transfer. One rule you hold. One decision you remove from your emotional range. And start there. Just there. And let the compounding do what compounding does. Quietly. Persistently. Without needing you to feel inspired. Because here's the final thing I'll leave you with. The people who stay broke aren't necessarily making dramatic mistakes. They're just not making quiet, consistent progress. And the people building real financial freedom aren't necessarily doing dramatic things. They're just not stopping. That's it. That's the whole secret. Don't stop. If this video helped you somehow, take a second to hit the like button. It really supports the channel. And if you're ready to make decisions that actually compound, subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.